One of our favorite things to do in Halo Reach is look for random glitches and places you can break out of the map on. This is something that we've really had fun doing on Halo over the past couple of years, but we thought to ourselves, what if we took it a step further and we tried to find 100 Halo Reach glitches and then put them all together in a video. Interestingly enough, there's a lot of things that you can do to break Halo Reach, and it's pretty awesome. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. So to start things off, we're going to go ahead and jump into the campaign and just go through every level because there are so many things to go through. We just didn't even know how to organize it here. On Winter Contingency, there's this pointless out of bounds area that's just over by the cliffs that you can get to by jumping over some rocks. You can fly the Falcon by plasma pistoling the friendly Falcon that's in the air, causing it to flip over and then quickly get inside the Falcon. This then enables you to skip ahead in the level and really start to just break random things. While the glitch itself is impressive, you can also then clip it into this spirit and break out of bounds of the map, giving you full access to explore everything. You can even take the Falcon over to where you're actually supposed to go if you want to. Towards the end of the level, when you're in the little firefight and you're holding out for the door to close, for whatever reason, one time I was playing this, getting footage for something else, and Emil just walked into me and pressure launched me into the wall, splattering me. I had footage of this for the longest time, and I don't know what happened to it. I must have lost it, so you're just gonna have to take my word on it that this happened. But yeah, whatever happened, Emil was walking into the room and he hit my Spartan and I hit the wall or something and just instantly died. I'm pretty upset about losing the footage here. I replaced it with Rainbow Six footage, I think, on my Xbox DVR, so I'm just gonna have to hope that you guys believe me. During that same firefight section, you can actually run outside where all of the action is going and jump into this little corner and you can get yourself stuck here. Yeah, there's not too much to it, but you can get yourself stuck. Also, there's this friendly elite glitch that General Kid managed to do, which is pretty awesome. You have to do the hijacked Falcon glitch to set this one up and then kind of trick the elites into hijacking you, but it is just funny to see what it looks like. On Sword Base, if you are good at jumping and you can get some careful leaps off without falling to your death, you can actually break outside of the map here and get on the outside wall of the map, and this one's just kind of fun in general. Also, we've learned this in an interesting way. If you get to the hunters too quickly in this level, you can actually cause them to end up being invincible, which, you know, that's never good. And then this next one, we weren't sure if it actually should count or not, but there is a farming spot that you could use for XP back in the original 360 days where you could grab the target designator and just keep triggering the enemies right behind you with it, and you could just rack up a ton of killing medals, which would then translate into a lot of XP and match bonuses in the 360 days of ranking up. Now, they eventually put a hard cap on that where you couldn't rank up too much more, but it was really great for getting a lot of bonuses right away for a little while until it did cut you off. Over on Nightfall, there's that infamous glitch where you can clip through this door by using a good old forklift, and if you do it fast enough, it'll actually despawn all of the enemies in this section, making running to the end of the level really easy. If you slide off of a rock just right and you armor lock on top of June's head, you can actually force June to like move really quickly, and it does this kind of speedy bump launch thing across the map. Speedrunners have been able to do it occasionally, and it's pretty amazing. Once you get out of bounds, if you're fast enough, you can jump onto this phantom right here, and if you armor lock through a barrier that typically would cut you off, you get access to the outside sections of this level, and you have full reign to just go on and fully explore. If you travel far enough up the river, you can actually find the Banshee that was in the cutscene at the beginning, just kind of here, randomly outside of the map, which you then can go ahead and fly. Also, when we're playing through Halo Reach Piggyback, which is an awesome video if you haven't seen it, we found out that there is a weird glitch where one player, typically either the host player, is sticky, where the other player on top can stand on top of the head of the player. However, if the sticky player is standing on top, he will slide off of the other player. It's really weird and inconsistent. We don't really know how it works, and for whatever reason, if one of us died, then either the other player would be sticky or none of us would be sticky, and we couldn't even stand on each other's heads. We investigated it a little bit in the video, so make sure you check that out if you're ever curious about what is going on here. Also, there's this glitch where you can make the Guta do a backflip. Tip of the Sphere is another fun map to break out and just explore. First of all, you can get outside of the map by these rocks by doing a couple of tricks with a warthog and a concussion rifle and just kind of force its way out. And if you can hit everything correctly and get a checkpoint that lets you actually survive outside this area without springing you back in, you can travel yourself all the way down to see all of these warthogs that are supposed to be way out in the distance. And as it turns out, they're not just far away warthogs, they're actually just really tiny, which is a cool forced perspective type thing that they did here. There's also this really awesome warthog launch that you can do over here that springs you up in the sky. This one was shown by our friend Tepic from Halo Creation, the greatest Halo French community that's out there. And yeah, it's pretty cool just to be able to launch yourself up. You can eventually launch yourself high enough to even land on that giant ship up there, which is awesome. Also, on Tip of the Spear, if you get a warthog out of bounds and you drive it meticulously into the right area where you can then get it on top of this pelican that drops a bridge. If two people stay at the warthog and one person goes ahead in the level, causing the next section of the level to load in, the pelican will despawn, causing the warthog to do this mega mint blitz like launch, and it's pretty hilarious. I felt so cool doing this. This next one's not as epic, but if you jump over this thing, there's a little shortcut here to skip going across the bridge. And take it a step further, you can actually run on top of these little railings and get up here, bypassing this first little hallway you have to go through. And then from there, you can either drop down and continue through the level normally, or you can do an amazing parkour jump all the way across and skip another big section. I tried it and I fell. There's a really awesome glitch that speedrunners have been able to occasionally pull off to bypass the entire on-rails section of the Falcon Ride. Essentially, if you use a Revenant to push a Falcon and get it stuck by a tree, and then bait two elites to pull off a double hijack on the Falcon, where you then have to kill the one that's in the turret, and then get the other one that's still hijacking the pilot by jumping out of the turret. If you hijack the elite from the driver's seat, you can then be in control of the Falcon. It's very complicated. It is not a very easy thing to pull off. But if you do it right, you can fly to the top of the spire as long as you hit all the loading sequences in order, which is much faster. The only problem is, after you've done all of that, you've managed to have this amazing luck where you were able to do all of that. To get out of the Falcon, you have to be hijacked. Like the door doesn't work or something normally. So you have to hopefully bait another elite to come out and hijack you so you can actually get out and then finish the level. Still a really interesting glitch nonetheless. There also is another way you can glitch out of the map in the end area by the spear itself, where you can get out of bounds utilizing a Banshee, which is pretty cool too. On Long Night of Solace, if you duck underwater, the enemies can't see you for whatever reason. Okay, so there's this really cool glitch on Long Night of Solace that you can do on the original Xbox 360 version of Halo Reach, but essentially if you come over to where this pelican is in the first section of the level and you get on top of it, you can armor lock your way outside of the map and get over by this rock. You don't have to do a lot of walking and parkour, and fortunately General Kid has a really good video on his channel where he pulls this stuff off, and I've never been able to do this glitch myself because of how incredibly hard it looks, but nonetheless, if you go over on top of this pillar and you time your plasma pistol shot just perfectly, there's a Seraph that flies overhead, which you can then knock out of the sky. And then from there, you have to travel all the way over to wherever it landed or stopped landing. And you'll notice it's like super miniature in size. And from there, you have to get your lineup just perfectly right. And you can actually somehow manage to jump inside of the Seraph. I don't know. This one's crazy to me, but fortunately enough, they added the Seraph into Halo Reach Forge, so we can just fly it that way instead. Later on in the level, when you are flying in with the ships around you, you can actually glitch the game and just leap out if you respawn and quickly hold down your exit vehicle button and just fall out of your ship to your death. This one's really funny because if you do it enough and you just infinitely keep jumping out of your vehicle over and over and over again, you'll end up overloading the game and you can eventually cause your game to completely crash, something we did in a video. You can also block various entrances in this room with the boxes that are around, and it'll make it so when you have to travel back through this level and you're doing your backtracking, the enemies won't respawn, making getting through this section a little bit easier. Also, in the final firefight section, for whatever reason, you can actually hold the enter vehicle button down by the base of this pelican if you're clipping your head through it, and boom, all of a sudden you're inside of the turret gunner seat of the pelican, where you can then just shoot at all of the enemies. It's definitely not supposed to happen, but hey, here we are. Going on Exodus, you can actually have a lot of fun just jumping around and seeing what areas areas you can get into by avoiding soft kill barriers. Like for instance, in this first open area, you're able to get down below, and if you run into this corner for whatever reason, the soft kill barrier will shut off, giving you more time to run around and try to find another safe area to stand. And there's quite a few areas you can surprisingly stand in where the game won't kill you. On Exodus, when you get a jetpack, there's a lot of little areas you can fly around to and explore, and if you keep the jetpack with you, you can just kind of go places, and that's cool. On Exodus, there's a series of glitches you can do that give you access to a lot of different areas that you normally wouldn't get to see. For instance, after your Falcon Ride, if you do a gravity hammer launch with some skulls on, you can knock this warthog all the way across the riverbed and get it landed right over on the opposite side, which you can then use later on. Then in this section where a Falcon comes in, if you've brought armor lock with you from earlier in the level, when the Falcon is getting ready to leave, you can pull off an armor lock to make it a little bit further out of bounds, and from there you can actually drop in on the outside section of this level and not get killed. From there, there's all sorts of weird glitches that you could experience. For instance, there's this area that looks like Terminal from Modern Warfare 2. You can go and get that warthog that you launched over earlier and explore some areas. You can find this random tree that's underwater, and in general, just a cool area to explore. Also on Exodus, if you're jetpacking around and you do enough extra glitches, you can make your way to this pelican that you're not supposed to normally get to, and then from there you can actually sit inside of the pelican. There's not much more going on, but you can sit in it. Towards the end of the level, you can also go around the back side of the beach, and if you have a jetpack, you can actually fly past where the soft kill barrier is, and you get full access to this back area if you're careful and don't die in the water. From there, you can run around on the beach, you can climb up and look at some picnic tables and other areas, and you can even go and float on the water because the water is just like awkwardly settled there, and that's kind of cool. On New Alexandria, there's a couple of glitches you can do with the elevator if you're either standing in the wrong place or you try to clip your way through the elevator. I don't know, I've managed to have some weird stuff happen, whether it be me instantly dying or getting teleported randomly whenever I mess around with these elevators. You should definitely try this one out. In the one section where you're at the hospital and you have to run all the way down and hit the button to clear the jammer, and then all these enemies come in and make it hard to fight your way out. If you're playing in co-op and you make your way to where you're about to press the button, if two players run out of the building before you press the button, before all those enemies spawn in, the last player can call for an evac and automatically teleport outside of the building and not have to fight all of those extra enemies, which is really incredibly helpful when you're doing something like lasso. So these aren't glitches, but they're actually Easter eggs where if you fly your vehicles a certain way, you essentially can get a phantom or a pelican, which you can fly. Everyone's known about this Easter egg, but what's really cool is you can then fly these vehicles way out of bounds and see like the little burnt city over here that you typically don't ever go over to. And I just thought it's cool that you get access to the entire map and nothing's gonna stop you. On the package, there's another Easter egg that turns into a glitch where if you go and quickly hit a series of switches, you can have 4 banshees spawn in at the beginning of the level. After you get the banshees, if you move quick enough towards the main building, you can actually trigger these falcons that spawn in, and you can get inside of the falcon even though technically they're not fully loaded in yet. So they're actually shrinked down in size to make the illusion of these falcons flying in really quickly from far away instead of just being here and moving a couple feet. But if you do it fast enough, you can fly these tiny shrink raid falcons, and it's pretty cool. Also on the package, we were just bored one day and we grabbed a ghost just to see what we could see if we tried to boost over in this direction. And while there isn't too much you can actually do outside of the map here before the soft kill barrier just murders you, we did find a couple of rocks that we could stand on, and that felt like an achievement in itself. Maybe if we were really pro, we could keep the ghost alive long enough and boosted up some rocks and find some new areas. But every time we tried that, we just died. So this is as far as we got, but still, nonetheless, we're kind of proud of it. On the package, if you bring a concussion rifle with you, you can actually use it to bounce your way up this area and save a little bit of time instead of having to run up these ramps. Also on the package, if you move forward and then you make your way backwards again, you can mess with the loading sequences on this level, and you can have June and Emil's weapons just despawn. Instead, they just got these little finger guns going on. Also at the end of the level, there's the secret Halsey's lab room that you can get to on legendary difficulty, and typically you're not able to shoot or kill anyone. However, if one player doesn't land in that room and dies on the outside while the Easter egg is activated, they can then punch and kill their friends, and their friends can respawn and punch and kill each other, and That's not really how it's supposed to work, but hey. Pillar of Autumn has quite a few little areas that you can mess around with or just explore some outside of the map's area. There's this little pointless area that you can just chill out in, but hey, it's cool. There's a way that you can fly up into this little gap area and bypass certain enemies from spawning. When you're later in the level and you're having to face off against the hunters, you can bypass this whole section by just crouch jumping and smashing your face through the window. By having 2 players manipulate the loading zones, you can have one player stand at the top of the hill while the other player makes their way down the hill and grabs a mongoose and then teleport the player back up the hill, and essentially you can be in a loop of multiple unlimited mongooses, which is just hilarious. This is another one that Tepig really enjoyed doing from Halo Creation, and he always just goes above and beyond with these types of Easter eggs. If you punch this wall randomly, an ammo crate will drop out, and in the original Halo Reach, if you were in 2-player mode and you jumped into the passenger seat of one of these trucks, there's actually no animation intact for opening the door and going and sitting down. This later was fixed in MCC for whatever reason. On the flip side, there's a weird glitch that only comes up in MCC where all of the player models or enemy models will just be a matte black color. At the end of the level, you can break out of the map and just kind of stand over here in this little pointless area. It's kind of cool. There's some room to walk around and explore, not that much else. But on the other side of the map, you can use the tree to jump off and land on top of the pelican, where you can then armor lock and glitch your way out of the map and get to see a whole lot more. You can also utilize a concussion rifle to bounce your way out of this area of the level and get up to the top area faster, making using the Mac cannon for the final section of the level much more useful until you get to the part where you have to deliver the package of keys, and then you can just go back up there again. Okay, and then this next glitch is absolutely pointless. There's really no real reason that you would ever need to do this, but I wanted to talk about it because I just really enjoy it for whatever reason. In the last level of Halo Reach, Pillar of Autumn, if you don't count Lone Wolf, if you are with Emil and you're at the mongoose here, there's this little trick you can do where you get him to let you ride a passenger right before this bridge. And for whatever reason, the way that the game is scripted, it'll just kind of yeet you over the bridge in one of the most hilarious ways. I don't know why it happens this way, but it's just something that whenever we're doing a hard challenge or something, I always just get distracted by doing for whatever reason. Also, if you didn't know, after the cutscene where Carter completely yeets himself into the scarab, you can backtrack a little bit through the game, but then there's this weird mechanic that's used to teleport you away from trying to get further backwards in the level. This is actually because the level despawns itself to save resources and loads in the later part of the level, so it doesn't want you to go back and mess with the stuff that's already been unloaded, so it keeps you away. But it's still something kind of fun you can do by climbing up on someone's head and trying to backtrack the best way that you can. And then there's this lost old footage of Emil apparently not having the skull on his visor for whatever reason. It's this weird glitch. We only were able to find it in this video where it sounds like the uploader may be in a microwave, but hey, it's a 10-year-old video clip and we still have footage, and for that we're really thankful. You can actually get vehicles pretty far in this level beyond where you're supposed to take them. You can get them all the way to the final firefight section. Now, Luke and I actually tried this a while back for one of the videos we were doing, and it was a little bit of a pain trying to get the ghost around all of the corners and through all of the doors, but if you wiggle them left and right, you can actually get the ghost there. And while this was all going on, I actually managed to do the same exact thing, but with a forklift. So we actually had a forklift and a ghost at the end of Pillar of Autumn in that little firefight area, and that was good and all, but it did eventually despawn them once we ended up talking to Keys. Also, this one's really pointless, but have you ever tried forcing a forklift inside of the elevator on Sword Base? Why not? You can do it. There's also this trick a lot of people do where they just take a vehicle with them into the little area with the hunters, which does make fighting the hunters easier. Also, did you know that there's a lot of glitches that can happen when you play Christmas Halo Reach? Yeah, it's not really an official glitch, but I just wanted to take a moment to remind you guys all that this existed, and this is something just kind of amazing in its own right. Over on Lone Wolf, there's a glitch you can do to hijack a Wraith. You can also glitch theater mode if you're quick enough and you time it correctly, where you can then fly out out of the map and go all the way out to where this big ship is, and there's this random little Spartan statue chilling out here. Also, in co-op mode, if you die first, for whatever reason, your helmet will just be either a default helmet or a random helmet in the cutscene, not the helmet that you're actually wearing. Okay, so around this point, we decided to be really fun. If we decided to look online and see what other glitches maybe we haven't actually taken a closer look at just yet. And we stumbled across this 11-year-old General Kid video, which was just the best thing that I've seen all day today. And he does some pretty basic glitches with some of his friends. So Luke and I thought, hey, why don't we go and try to recreate some of these glitches? And it kind of ended up being a blast. So this next one's an oldie, but definitely a good one. If you have a plasma launcher and you're in Forge, you can overcharge it and shoot one of your buddies. And if he quickly escapes and goes into his Forge Ball mode, he won't explode until he eventually comes out of his Forge Ball mode, no matter where he is. And it is just kind of one of those funny things to actually see. Now, this glitch also manages to work with a Spartan laser if you're holding a Spartan laser and you overcharge it right to the point where it's about to fire and then quickly go into the Forge Ball mode. You can relocate and immediately launch it the second you come out of the Forge Ball. It's kind of terrifying. There's the good old turret glitch that you can do, which is a glitch that was done even in Halo 3, but it works in Halo Reach as well, where if you go up to one of these windows, you can actually glitch your way into the window pane and into this little area you're not supposed to actually be in. There's not too much more you can do. It's a shame you can't go and explore New Alexandria, but nonetheless, it's cool. This also works over by the elevator that typically plays Siege of Madrigal in Halo 2, but you can actually clip through this wall, and there's this little secret room back here that you may or may not have known actually exists. Now, there's nothing you can do in this room, and there's a soft kill barrier, so you will die, but it's neat. There's this other area over on Sword's base you can do the same glitch on, and you can clip through this wall, and there's a little secret room back here. There's not much going on in it either, but you can stand here. Okay, then there's the spooky Ghost of Forge World, which is an old glitch that would occasionally happen when you would overload your maps in Halo Reach. Now, it's a little bit harder to actually overload your Forge game in Halo Reach on MCC for whatever reason, and this glitch ended up working out better on the original Xbox 360 version of Halo Reach, may it rest in peace. But essentially, by overloading the map, occasionally one player would appear invisible and you wouldn't see him because of the latency just kind of being stacked up on top of each other in Halo Reach, and the other player could just drive around in a Banshee and it would look like nobody was in it, and it's just spooky. You could probably pull some pranks on your friends back in the day if you knew how to do this one correctly, but you probably could also scare them if you're in Forge mode and you just spawn a giant kill ball and you kill them with that. Nowadays, when I'm playing MCC for whatever reason on Halo Reach, I occasionally run into this really weird texture glitch where everything just starts flickering white and black. It's a little disruptive at first, but it's just this weird oddity that happens. It probably has something to do with the pop in and out of textures at a distance, something you can see in Forge World if you fly from far away to another side really quickly, but for whatever reason in campaign, it seems a little bit extra skewed. In the OG Halo Reach, if you were shooting your gun, holding the trigger down and then press the start button, for whatever reason your gun would just completely continue to shoot even if you let go of the trigger. Let's take a closer look at Forge World, because there's already a lot of stuff that goes on here. Like, for instance, in the old 360 version of this map, there was a really easy way you could overload the map by just spawning a bunch of items and vehicles together and slowly compressing them together to crush them. You can spin the grid around and just spin and spin, and if you have another player get near the grid, just sometimes chaos can happen. A lot of the times they die, but every once in a while you'll get a good launch off and your friend will just go flying. There's a special spot in the middle of the island where if you go inside of the tunnel, you can either put a teleporter through with the bottom ramp and get outside of the tunnel by using the teleporter, or you can even glitch through it with a turret or some other type of force. But yeah, there's this little secret bunker that you can create that's technically in an area you're not supposed to have access to by choosing some teleporters. And interestingly enough, you can see completely through the floor when you're down there and just see players walking up and down, and they can't see you. Now, you can't shoot through the ramp itself, but we did find in the process of testing this that if I was standing in the little glass window, I could shoot out and hit Luke, but Luke couldn't shoot in and hit me, which definitely seems a little bit overpowered and maybe a little unfair, but it is still pretty funny. Of course, there's the iconic hot air balloon glitches where you can put a vehicle cannon inside of a tower and make sure they're both on normal physics and lift lift and drop them at the same time, and the tower will just fly away. But you can also do this with a bunker, and sometimes it works better, and sometimes it works a little bit worse. You can actually put a grid underneath the water over in the little lagoon area, and if you phase it through the sand just right, you can have full games that work underwater. And I mean, the water physics are a little weird, it's definitely foggy, but there's been some good custom games that have existed with this underwater glitch. This next one doesn't sound as useful maybe now, but back in the day it was pretty cool. If you were in Forge mode and you took your Warthog and you kind of just lightly, gently tapped on a kill ball, you could pop the turret off of the back of the Warthog and drive just a regular 2-seating truck around instead of a Warthog with a machine gun turret on the back of it. Now, when they added reach to MCC and they did the big Forge update, they did just straight up add transport hogs, even though you can't sit in the back, but they do have turretless Warthogs just available now. However, I like my method a little bit better. This glitch is also usable in a custom game type mode when using a Wraith, where you can take the turret off and play a splatter type gameplay like cat and mouse. Way back in the earliest days of Halo Reach, there were some glitches that would occasionally occur and people would capture in theater mode, like this giant Spartan glitch. Also in Forge mode, if you put an armor lock down, you use it, activate armor lock, go into Forge mode while doing it, then spawn another armor lock and delete all of the armor locks. When you return to player mode, you'll be invincible and kind of have this infinite armor lock on, which is pretty cool. There's actually a zero gravity glitch you can do by doing this first glitch, where if you are with a jetpack and you melee another player that's not on your team, but you don't kill them, you can actually get an upwards float going and you'll kind of just glide around with zero gravity. It's a little bit weird, but interesting. I have talked about this one before in a video, but one time I was playing custom games and the game lagged or something, and when we came back from the connecting screen, all of a sudden I was in a first-person perspective in this weird haunted driving situation. It was just really weird. I could shoot my gun while driving too. There's these cliffs up in Forge World over where there's supposed to be an invisible soft kill barrier that you can just stand by and hang out. It's a good sniper spot. Also, when we were looking for glitches in Forge World, we noticed the shadows on these rocks just look a little weird. I don't know, if you look closer at them, it almost looks like the water is burned, or there's this weird marking on the shadow that's independent from the water itself. If you take an extended bridge and grab a one-way shield, you can actually build a cool zip line on Forge, or in any map really that gives you access to these pieces, and you just jump in and you can just drag your head along and not die. You can make it a cool way to get down from a high area without dying. I mean, stairs technically could work too, but I mean, it's a zip line. It's so much cooler. If you put down a hologram and then you trigger it at the same time as you go into Forge mode, you actually will spawn out a Spartan that doesn't really look like you. It's just a different Spartan. It's not a direct replica. This also works on elites, though we noticed with the newer update, it doesn't randomize the armor anymore, it just randomizes the armor effect. One of my favorite glitches to do were the various launches that are available to do in Forge, specifically this one with the Revenant. If you have a Revenant and you grab a teleporter and you fly up as high as you can with the teleporter, and then get another teleporter, change the in-game settings within the teleporter to allow for vehicles, and then you boost into it with your Revenant, you can actually get yourself full-on slingshotted, not even just above the map, like way beyond into the stratosphere. I'm surprised I didn't hit the top of the Halo ring and land my way back down, and it's just fun. Typically, you'll die from the soft kill barrier before you're able to land, but nonetheless, it's still a really cool thing to try out, and you can even mess around with it more by trying different directions or just trying to set it up in a different location to see what ends up happening, but definitely one we would recommend trying just because it's cool. When playing on Forge mode, if you were not the host and you were shooting and switched into your Forge mode while still holding the trigger, a lot of the times you would hear the sound of a focus rifle shot, and some of the time you would even see the beam of light coming from the focus rifle shot in your game. But this one only worked from your own perspective. All the other players wouldn't see it, but it's definitely one that's always made me wonder. The focus rifle was originally supposed to be a weapon that the monitors could use in Forge mode, or if that was going to be a feature that ended up getting cut at some point. Back in the day, this was a really popular popular glitch or custom map, but apparently there was a modded map that put the entire Forge World playable area completely replaced with wall coliseums instead of the water itself, which, while it was a map mod, the fact that you could share it over file share was not supposed to be a thing. Allowing you to trade this map that shouldn't exist was pretty awesome, and it became an iconic map for a ton of different custom games. If you're standing with a detached turret and you walk backwards over an armor ability and then melee and pick up at the same time, you can actually walk around without any weapon at all. I actually remember finding this one with some friends all the way back in 2010 or 11, and I thought it was so cool. And then I picked up Evade, like the armor equipment, and started evading around, and it just looked hilarious, like this bunny rabbit type jumping thing. So I ended up going on to eBay and I bought this really cheap capture card. I think it was called like the Diamond VC 600 or something. I ended up spending like $100 on it. It was pretty overpriced and the quality was completely awful, and it barely ever worked. It only worked like 2 times ever the whole time that I had it. But to this day on my old YouTube channel, I still have my glitch video where I did this bunny jump glitch. It had 800 views and 2 people talking about how the video was not good. Also, I had a Modern Warfare 2 gameplay capture card test that I uploaded on that channel, and I got called a heartbeat sensor noob. Halo's been known for having weird latency issue glitches over the years, and there was one glitch that always amazed me whenever I would see it pop up in a file share, but it would be whenever someone was being assassinated and somehow the game would lag and they'd be able to sidestep their own assassination and show stop themselves, which is the medal you get for stopping someone mid-assassination. Also, this next one is one that I literally didn't know about until just recently, and it completely blew my mind that I've been playing Halo Reach for all these years and I just didn't know. But when you're doing parkour in Halo Reach, if you have a plasma pistol and you overcharge your shot and crouch jump, you can actually get a upward momentum boost, something I had no clue about, and I've been playing Halo for forever. Back in the days of Rocket Race or Rocket Hog Race, there was this amazing glitch where if the passenger player who isn't in the turret and just has the grenade launcher or whatever, or the rocket launcher, jumps out of the vehicle and grabs a turret and breaks it off of the mount, the game will teleport them into the passenger seat and they're still holding their turret, meaning you could be driving around with a Warthog that had 2 machine gun turrets, which is amazing. Let's go ahead and move on to some other multiplayer maps outside of just Forge World. For instance, there's some cool glitches that show up on other maps too. There's Timberland, where you can build outside of the main map area by doing some glitches with the teleporters. If you essentially put a teleporter as far out as you can and then go through the teleporter and try to put another teleporter out even further, you can eventually glitch a teleporter all the way out there that you can then travel to and fly your way to a safe area. We're just out here, there's no soft kill barrier, meaning you're free to build, and this is essentially another blank canvas, while it's smaller than Forge World, that you can still build on and make some cool maps and a nice little change of scenery. Now, it seems like in the most recent update, they may have done a patch that makes it harder to travel out there. You used to be able just to kind of throw a teleporter and it would just work. Now you have to kind of do the glitch in the way I described it, specifically by using one other teleporter ahead of time and kind of break through the wall, but it is still possible at the very least. On Powerhouse, there's this good old glitch where if you have your friend just stand up on this platform and tell them to crouch and walk around on it, it'll pressure launch them at a high speed right into the wall and they will die. It's just a fun thing to have your friends do. We've talked about this one before, but on any map really, but in this specific map we did Spire, if you put a bunch of the one-way shields around and just shoot a plasma repeater into it, the bullets will just shoot all over the place and it looks hilarious and it becomes this big glowing mess after a while. It's chaotic, but it's fun. Over on Breakpoint, if you just spawn a bunch of rocket launchers and just shoot at the Phantom that's there for a while, eventually the Phantom will just explode, but the outline of the Phantom's still there. Like, for whatever reason, the dead Phantom doesn't despawn properly, and it just stays there, just chilling there, almost like a Phantom. That was a really bad joke, I'm sorry. This next one works on campaign or on the multiplayer map Boneyard, but if you go stand in this corner and kind of crouch and maybe jump a little bit, it's on the far side of the map. There's a pressure launch point that'll just kind of push you all the way back. It's a 50-50 chance you'll die depending on how much speed you get, but it's another one you can tell your friends to kind of go check out. Tell them there's a secret gun in there if they can crouch and jump into the little thing and just see what happens. On the multiplayer map Tempest, or really any place that has these types of structures, you can have some fun with a Warthog warthog and glitch through various walls and doors, whether you're on foot trying to jump into a turret where you phase through a wall, or you're in the back of a warthog trying to phase through a wall. Sometimes it works that way too. Looking over to firefight mode, there's some interesting glitches that we've covered in the past as well. On sword base, there's a way that you can force yourself into this little room where all these shields are, and no enemies can actually get to you. All you have to do is get creative a bit with some crates and kind of force their way through, while also pushing yourself at the same time. Forklifts may be helpful. Over on Corvette, you can use the giant spirit that's there to clip your way through the big shield and stand outside for a bit. Much like we talked about earlier on in the video, like on Long Night of Solace, if you're playing on waterfront, you can duck under the water and not get shot. For whatever reason, they just cannot see you. I also remember watching this really old video from way back in the day where someone was playing on Beachhead and these hunters just got lost. Like, the AI just did not know what to do whatsoever, and it was pretty hilarious to say the least. I don't know, I just remember people putting this video to other songs and other memes along the way, and I just think it's funny whenever a glitch like this ends up happening. Also, for this last glitch, there's this invalid weapon glitch where essentially you can hand off your weapons to various Covenant enemies in firefight versus mode. It's a little confusing to do, but YouTuber General Luigi did a video showing off the glitch, and he has kind of the best accent when explaining Halo things. Here's a little clip of it.
A rarely used aspect of Firefight was the ability to play on the Covenant's team as an elite and assist them in destroying enemy Spartans. This mode was called Firefight Versus.
So if you guys have ever wanted to see grunts holding sniper rifles and shooting at you, this is a great opportunity to learn a new glitch and watch his video. And that actually concludes our list of 100 Halo Reach glitches. Actually, matter of fact, there were more than 100 in this video, but you know, I just kind of kept going and ignored the numbers. But hey, here we are. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out our 100 Halo 3 glitches, because there's a whole set of completely different glitches. Seriously, there's actually not that much crossover between Halo 3 and Reach glitches, so you should definitely go watch that video because it's neat. Also, you can check out our other videos on our channel. We do a lot of co-op stuff in gaming in general, so that'd be really cool. But that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys all next time with a brand new video.